Well, good morning. No, it's not really Christmas at all. It's um, we're having once again just a little bit of technical problem, but only because we are now choosing to go on location around Lewes. In the morning, it's just a gorgeous morning again this morning. Not a cloud in the sky, just quite lovely. It's just a little after 6:15, and I'm Keith Hayes, and this is Mirador Television, broadcasting from Lewes in the county of East Sussex in the United Kingdom, and we're just moving around, and this morning we're coming from the All Saints Community Centre, which is a former church. It's been desanctified, but I'm standing amongst a whole bunch of graves which have been very carefully preserved and very historical, but in fact I'm not violating any sacred ground. As I say, it's been declassified, desanctified, and is now used as a community centre. But there are some famous graves in this particular churchyard, and the one that kind of springs to mind immediately is the Archdeacon of Lewes, who actually caused the Peasants' Revolt in the late 1300s. He tried to curry favour with the king, rode off to Kent to talk to, or supposedly put down a bit of an uprising of the workers, and he got there, and they were in such a balky mood as they murdered his servant, and he only escaped with his life, and then they immediately went on the rampage, and it was quite a violent uprising. They took over at one point the Tower of London, they took over Canterbury Cathedral, they came to Lewes, they got into the castle, they found a vat of wine, got drunk, stayed there for 2 days having a jolly good time till the wine ran out, and then went off into the rest of the country to cause mayhem. We escaped any violence because they found this vat of wine in the castle. A lovely story. But anyway, the Archdeacon of Lewes is buried here somewhere, and after wreaking all sorts of havoc amongst over the country, because he decided he was going to curry favour with the king, King Richard, and he would show them and put them in their place. Well, they jolly well put the country in its place, and I think that probably the country is feeling a bit like that at the moment itself. There's a sort of an uprising because Nigel Farage continues to prosper in the polls. And I'm not making any comment whatsoever, political comment, except to say that I think that the main political parties are beginning to realise that we, the public, will not stand for a whole bunch of nonsense, and that the way that they've behaved is absolutely abysmal and not in the public interest. It's in their own interest or their party's interest, which brings me to May the 20th, which is, I think, next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I'll count that up in a moment, but that's when the council, the new district council, meets for the first time, and that is going to be a very interesting situation because there is no overall control. Who knows what is going on behind closed doors at the moment, but let's just for the moment I'd just like to ruminate with you. Let me please take a look at this, because I had to change cameras to make sure that we could broadcast from this particular spot this morning. That this is my garden, and perhaps at the back you can just see that there is a real display of yellow roses. I guess perhaps you can't, perhaps I've chosen the wrong photo, but never mind. Let's go. The reason that Christmas thing is up there because we haven't used this particular camera for quite some time, and so we've got some old pictures. The last time we used it, obviously, was at Christmas, and we want to make sure that we could broadcast from here this morning. As you can see, there's a little bit of light coming in from the right, which is a bit disturbing. I don't know whether I can do anything about that. Perhaps I can a little bit. Just make a little adjustment. There we go. I'm sorry for those sort of interruptions. But what the reason I showed you my garden was, because the flowers really are coming out in abundance all over the town at the moment. I think there's been the right combination of heat and rain to make the plants flourish, and they're quite beautiful. This is our main street, and you can't see any flowers there, of course, but you can see that it's deserted. And although that's a still photograph, it is deserted. And I just came to down here this morning, and I bumped into one jogger and 2 cars driving to the station, and that was it. The town is absolutely deserted, and sometimes it's just a wonderful experience to be in a town like this that is totally clear of people. It's like a disaster movie. Once in the 1990s, when I was working at Park Royal in the northwest of London, somewhere near to the Guinness factory, I'm happy to say. I used to get drunk on the smell every morning when I went to work, but I'd be working overnight, and it was a Christmas Eve I'd worked. And Christmas morning dawned, and we were able to get away at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I decided that I would drive back through London to see just how deserted it was on Christmas morning. So instead of heading for the M25 and the quick route home, I drove down into London and through the centre to the Vauxhall Bridge and over, and then down through Brixton and onto the M23. It was fascinating. It was almost as if they were making a disaster movie, or that in fact a disaster had struck. Not a soul. I didn't see one single living soul. And not even a milkman, a postman. Well, you wouldn't on Christmas morning, I suppose. But there was nobody around, no late revellers, nothing at all. And it was the most stunning experience I think I've ever had. It's driving through a city of 8 million people, 9 million people, whatever London is now, and not seeing anybody, and getting this feeling of emptiness, and that civilization had disappeared. It's fascinating. Anyway, that's what Lewis was like this morning. What is Lewis going to be like in the future? Because on the 20th, the new council meets, and because they don't have to, but my guess is they will, because I don't care who you are. You belong to a party, you do what the party says. I urge people not to vote for a party. I don't think party politics has got any place in local governance. But you can't tell the politicians that, and I suppose we can't tell the voters that, or there weren't enough quality people standing as independents, because we dumped one quality person from the district council. Luckily he's on the town council, so we'll still have a say. Stephen Catlin, Kathleen, for whom I have high regard. But we did get Ruth O'Keefe back, somebody with whom I've had my differences in the past and probably will continue. But they're healthy differences, and we are reasonably civil to one another, in fact almost friendly, I would say. And she is a very hard-working councillor. But I've really urged people not to vote on the basis of whether people are hard-working if they belong to a political party, because the system at the moment means it doesn't matter. They can be as hard-working as they like, but the chances are that they'll have no say. So they don't represent us. Because the cabinet system means that the largest party, which in this case is the Conservatives, and was for the last 4 years, can select who they wish to go onto the cabinet, and then they have a leader, and they have a chair. No, they don't have a chair, they have a chairman. Rubbish. A chair. It's an inanimate object. I've spoken to a chair, and it doesn't answer back. Perhaps that's why they want a chair. Just the way they torture the English language. I think the funniest one is when people got steamed up about ombudsman and wanted to put something on, but it's a Norwegian or a Swedish word. It doesn't mean man at all. They wanted to twist it because it got ombudsman, but it's not. It's a word that means an arbiter or a judge. That's just how crazy some people can get. They don't think of anything except their silly principles. Okay, are they silly principles? No, not really. Everybody must have the chance to express their own beliefs. That's what a democratic society is all about. And I worry that we've got a democratic society at the moment. But certainly the cabinet system is iniquitous. And it will be interesting to see what happens on the 20th, because there is no overall control on Lewes District Council. The Conservatives have 19 seats. The other parties, which consist of the Greens, Labour, Liberal Democrats, Independents, have 22 seats. So there is no overall control unless all the opposition parties make a deal to go the same way. Now, this is where party politics gets silly, because if they make a deal, some of them have got to give up the very things that they campaign on. I am a Green, I am a Liberal Democrat, I am this, I am that. They can't be individuals, and they should be individuals. We should be able to have our councillors representing us, not a political party, which is what they do. Because when they get there, the political parties will... I've been to the last councilman, it was hilarious. They pull a string, where's my hand? They pull a string, up goes the hand. There's no individual thinking. I expect individual thinking from my councillors and this council, because there are many issues that need to be resolved in the district. I was speaking to a former mayor of Lewes, and also was on the district council. He's retired now, but he's a good chap. He understands what it's all about. I'm going to try and turn this again a little bit to whatever we do. I think we're going to get the sun this morning. Perhaps that's a little better, I'm not sure. And he was saying that that nowadays the councillors are told to be matey with the executive. Well, the executive's out of bloody control too. I mean, this merger with Eastbourne has been a complete and utter disaster, but everybody denies it. There is self-denial. I laugh like hell. National legislation says that if you feel unhappy about something, you go to the complaints committee. Well, I did that. I'm still waiting for a proper reply, despite various promises. The complaint went in last August, and I've had one response. Please, will you give us some more information about this? And then when they eventually took me to court, and then we made a deal. A deal, I may say, is I pay and they will do certain things. And of course, same round again. I've paid. Have they kept up their end of the bargain? No. But I don't know that they're dishonourable. It's just that the whole thing is up the chute. That nobody knows what they're doing, that they're rushing around like chickens with their heads cut off. There is no administration. And, if we're going to put up with that, then I'm sorry, but councillors, you're going to have to take the flak. We've got to give you the flak this time, not blame the chief executive, not blame the hard-working people that sit in the front office. They've got absolutely no PR. I mean, public relations is just something they don't understand. To hell with the public. And unfortunately, that's reflected in our national politics. To hell with the public. And that is what's going to have to end. You're going to have to start to listen to the voters. Ken Clarke and some of the long-standing people get up in the House of Commons and say, we're better off, we understand what's going on here. The public doesn't, they'd better leave it to us. No, sir. What you've shown is that you don't understand. You don't understand us, you don't understand what we want. And I use the collective because, generally speaking, we're a good nation. We're a nation of decent and kind people, and we expect our representatives to be decent and kind in much of their dealings. Okay, you've got to be tough, you've got to have secrets, but generally speaking, we expect you to reflect what we are. And we are decent people. The English, the British, those members of the United Kingdom are still a very good race. Saxons, Romans, Saxons, Normans, Tudors. We've been through it all. We've been through it all. And the result wasn't such a bad one. Please, Council, think before we have to keep on being terrier-like and attacking you over the next year to try and get something done about the dreadful and disgraceful state of affairs that exists as you meet on May the 20th. It's wonderful. Come to a desanctified churchyard to get a good rant going. Till tomorrow, toodle pip.